Hello, my name is Blake, and I am the host and producer of the Kladecast podcast. So setting up the podcast is not easy. Although I have a lot of really good equipment, you could do it really easy. But for me, I normally just set up a table in my room and just set up the equipment on there. I don't need any fancy backgrounds or fancy anything, because all that really matters is the audio in the end and what's being said and what's in the podcast, if it's funny or not. That's what really matters. Ultimately, all you really need to make a podcast is some sort of mic and a recording device, and you can easily do this with just your phone and some headphones, and you could post it anywhere. It doesn't take much to make a podcast, and I highly encourage everyone to do so. So the main things you want for the podcast are a recorder, which I have right here. It's the Zoom PodTrack P4. A microphone and a headset so you could listen to yourself while you're talking. A good lighting thing for lighting. You want to make it look good. And another optional thing to add in is another camera angle. Right here I have a GoPro that is taking another angle of me, which is how I set up my podcast. I have a camera right there, I have a camera to my right, and I have a lighting set right here. So now I'm going to show you the microphone setup. So the first step of my podcast setup is complete. This is the crane mic. So I'm able to attach the mic onto here, and I'm able to move this around as much as I want to make sure I get it in the right place. So the next step of the podcast setup is setting this cord into the mic and then putting it into the podcast recorder. Once I do this, I will be able to hit record and I will be able to start recording my podcast. So now that I got everything plugged in, I grab my headphones and I do a sound check. So I would go test, 1, 2, 3. I can adjust my microphone sound using these knobs, and then it's time to go. So I normally start off the podcast by going, take a seat, sit back, relax, and welcome to the Kladecast. And then we just go on from there. So this is the final look of what the podcast looks like. I have a camera right here. I have a lighting setup right there. I have another camera angle. I have a microphone, headphones, and the podcast recorder, and the seat where the podcaster sits. And that is my final setup for what the podcast looks like. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting my podcast, and I really appreciate it. Make sure to go check out the Kladecast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. It is very appreciated.